Okay, so we're gonna actually back up a few steps and continue on with a bit of a review. So this video is for my class. I've been absent last class. I'll be absent this class as well. My expectation is that you guys are going to watch this video, follow along, and basically copy me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to generate this CSS using CSS generators. I'm going to teach you how to place this text in the location that you want, and I'm going to show you guys how to also maybe place this one as well. And what you're going to do is you need to take that information and learn how to place this graphic and this graphic here, right? So the key thing to understand is, I'll give you a little bit of a clue here. With this one, this graphic here, there's actually two divs or two text boxes, one directly in front of the other. We have here the white background with the round corners, and in front of that we have here the links. All right. With this one here, we have actually three graphics, three text boxes or three divs, one behind the right on top of each other. We have, first of all, the black outline of the text box, of the black outline of the cartoon box. We have a white background with rounded corners to fit it, and then we have the text layer with the scroll bar. And this one here is just a simple graphic that I put there. The trick here with these two is that if you look in the folder, that the graphic is rotated slightly, so you need to use CSS to rotate it. And with this talking bubble, the graphic is the talking bubble is facing the wrong way. You need to flip it on the vertical axis using CSS. So what I didn't show you how to do is I'm not going to show you exactly how to do that. And again, the reason is that there's really no point in me showing you all the little details in CSS. First of all, I don't know all the details, and secondly, there's really no point in me teaching it because that's going to change in the next couple of years. So next couple of years, I have a new version of CSS that can do cooler and awesome stuff. So what I'm really showing you how to do is I'm showing you the basics or the foundations of what CSS is, how useful it is, and how basically CSS is everywhere. It runs the web, if it really does. And I'm giving you the basics of how it works and why it works, and how to modify it. And probably the most important thing is how to look up information and to be able to be self-sufficient and help answer your own questions and help yourself. But of course, before you do that, you need some background information. So again, very quickly, CSS cascading style sheets. We have here, in this case here, we have the body tag in CSS that corresponds to the body of the HTML document. You notice that the body of the HTML document spans the entire HTML document. Therefore, the CSS I define here between this bracket and this bracket, all the stuff here applies to the entire body tag, entire document. All right. Now, let's say I don't want my CSS coding to apply to just the entire body tag. Well, what I can do is I can use a div tag. A div is simply nothing more than a text box. So if you understand what a text box is in Microsoft Word, you know what a text box is in HTML. They work kind of the same way. You can move it around, you can resize it. The differences in CSS, you can have text boxes with different shapes and rounded corners and whatnot. Now, in this case here, I have a text box, a div tag. I give it an ID called cookie jar pick. All right. Now look at this word here. In here, I have cookie jar pick as well. So this CSS between these two brackets, okay, what I highlighted here applies to this div only, and that's how I could apply a part of CSS to one part of the document, and instead of the entire document. Okay, so that's been a very quick review of CSS. Remember that CSS uses squiggly brackets. Remember that CSS uses a semicolon, or sorry, a colon between the CSS property here and the CSS value here, and the end of this line we have here a semicolon. All right, so you see the same format, the same pattern. Now if you were to make a mistake, okay, you notice that the color coding changes. All right, it doesn't make sense anymore. All right, so if you look here, if you forget a semicolon in the end, you notice here that this whole thing is colored incorrectly. You know, why isn't this pink? All right, so the color coding helps you to identify problems. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat how this works. So, introducing you to the world of CSS font generators. So if you go to your browser and if you do a search for 50 plus useful CSS tools and generators, you'll come to you'll find this website here. Nope. 50 plus useful CSS tools and generators for developers. Take a minute and browse the cool tools that are available to you. And this is what developers do in real life. They don't sit there and maybe some people are good enough to do it, but I think most developers, they use a combination of, there's dozens or perhaps hundreds of these CSS generators, and they use these tools and combine different tools to create to make their vision come to life. As example, one of my favorite ones is this one, Color Scheme Designer. Right? Let's see, I want a 3 color scheme website. I want the color schemes to be very close to each other. Okay, so I can use this and help me choose a color scheme that I like. It gives me the values of each of the colors that it's chosen for me, and I can even see an example of the website that it might create. Pretty cool. Or let's say I want a 3 color scheme website, but I want 3 colors to contrast each other. There you go. So 3 colors that contrast each other. All right. You see, I like that one right there. Okay. I could preview a light example. All right. Excellent. Pretty neat. Now the one I'm going to use, going back here, if you scroll down and just take a minute to scroll to look at all the cool CSS stuff that you can use. I'm going to use one called Font Tester. All right. So this is Font Tester here. So in here, you see I have a huge list of fonts. So I'm just going to choose a font, and then I'm going to use an arrow key to move up and down, and I'm going to choose a font that I like. I like this one. All right. Now in here, I can choose a font color, of course. I can choose what size I want, but in particular, I want to choose the line height. So I'm going to turn this on by clicking it here. I'm going to choose a line height of 2.8, let's say. Okay. I'm going to choose a font. I want italicized. Font. Wait, no, sorry. I want font style italic. Bold. No, too much. Okay. And I want small caps. All right. That looks kind of cool. So you can turn it on and off and have a look at the difference. All right. And all these kind of options that you can set and you can play with. Now once you come to a font style that you like, you'll get CSS code, and here's a code between this bracket, okay, and this bracket. All right, so here's a code that makes that stuff appear. Okay, pretty neat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click it, copy it, go back to Dreamweaver, I'm going to paste it. I'm going to paste it right in here. All right, paste it right there. So in that case here, I paste it in the body, okay, and that's going to apply to the entire body of my sorry, give me a second here. That's going to apply to the entire body of my web page, right? So you see here in the corner that it applies to the links and applies to the table. Okay. Now what I can do is I can change it, right? So here, let's say, you know what, this is a little too much. I want 2.8 for the line height. That's a height between here and here. So change that, refresh it, and it changes it for here. It changes it for the table and in the links here. Now let's say, well, what if I want to change just the text here? Okay, I want to change the table different from, or sorry, I want to change the links different from the table. So how do you do that?